All right, let's just dive right in. Today, we're going to tackle a massive shift in what it even means to be a professional. We're talking about something called the trust economy.
And we're going to kick things off with a pretty bold statement, one that probably goes against everything you've ever been taught about building a career. Here it is. In 2026, the mask of perfection is actually your biggest liability. Now, that's not just some catchy phrase. It's a real prediction about where the entire professional world is headed. So what on earth does that mean?
Well, it all starts with this idea of the mask of perfection. We all know what this is. Come on, we've all worn it at some point.
You know the drill. From our very first job interview, we learned the big rule: project flawless competence. You hide the mistakes, you downplay the challenges, and you never, ever admit you don't have the answer. It's all about showing this polished, perfect version of yourself, because we're taught that any crack in that facade is a sign of weakness. But here's the thing, that whole belief is becoming dangerously outdated.
And it's outdated because, let's face it, the world has changed. The old playbook is failing, and it comes with a really high price tag, the high cost of distrust.
Now, what I love about this slide is it just lays out the massive shift we're all living through. For decades, the market rewarded the polished professional, the one with the perfect slide deck and the flawless resume. But that's over. Today, people aren't looking for the most polished person in the room anymore. They're looking for the most reliable one. They want a reliable leader, someone who's honest, who's clear, and who they can actually count on, especially when things get messy.
So why is this happening right now? Well, because we are all basically swimming in a sea of digital distrust. We're living in an era of deepfakes where you can't always believe what you see. Our inboxes are just flooded with automated, generic fluff that sounds human, but it isn't. And honestly, everyone is just exhausted by the pressure of creating and consuming this endless curated perfection online and in the office. So in an environment like this, real, transparent communication becomes incredibly valuable.
So this brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. If the old model is broken, what's taking its place? Well, welcome to the trust economy.
Let's be really clear about what this is. The trust economy is a professional world where being proactively honest isn't just about being a good person. It's a massive competitive advantage. It's about understanding that in a low-trust world, being the most trustworthy person in the room is a powerful strategic asset.
So how does this actually work in the real world? Honesty lowers what economists call transaction costs. Think about it. Every single time a client or your boss has to chase you for an update or wonder if you're telling them the whole story or worry about some hidden problem, that's a cost. It costs them time, energy, and focus. But when you proactively share information, especially when there's a problem, you wipe out that cost. You reduce their uncertainty. You stop being a maybe that they have to manage, and you become a guarantee they can rely on.
Okay, theory is great, but let's make this real. It's time to go from concept to action. I want you to perform your own trust audit, like right now.
I really want you to pause and think about this question. Is there a project delay, a budget issue, a technical limitation that you've been kind of putting off? Something you've been waiting for the perfect moment to bring up. That hesitation, that waiting game, that's the old way of thinking. The trust economy demands something different.
Because here's the absolute bottom line. Own the narrative before the narrative owns you. When you're the one who brings up a problem, you get to control the context. You frame it as a challenge you're already on top of. But if you wait until somebody else discovers it, the narrative is no longer yours. You're not a problem solver anymore. You're just the person with a problem.
And look, this is not just a short-term fix. This kind of proactive honesty is an investment. It's about building the most important asset you'll ever have in your career.
So, think of today as day one. The small act of proactive honesty you take after watching this, it isn't just about solving one little problem. It's the very first deposit you make into your most valuable professional asset, your reputation for being trustworthy. This is the start of intentionally building your career on a foundation that just can't be shaken.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. We are so often taught that vulnerability is a weakness, right? But what if that's completely wrong? What if owning your narrative, the good, the bad, and the messy, is the single most powerful and strategic move you can make in your career right now? Something to think about.